Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I had a visit from a mate of mine the other day. He's retired. He retired when he was 65. And at the age of 60, he decided to get into racing go-karts. He's a fit bastard. I'll give him that much. Anyway, he raced them for a fair while. And when he bought the racing cart and the trailer and all that, he was told he needed a dial gauge, mag base for the dial gauge, and never ever used it. So he brought it down to me. He said, "Here, you can have it. It's a metric indicator, and brand new, still in the box, never been touched." And along with that, he was also told he needed some telescopic gauges, snap gauges. These are more than right. Never took them out of the box. Still had the grease paper in there, you know. And I said, "Oh, look, I can't take them for nothing. I'll buy them off you." I said, "You had to buy them to start with." So he said, "No." He said, "I've got to ask you a question." I said, "Righto, what is it?" And he said, "Well, me mower shit itself." Yeah, and this is the drive out of it. It's a hydrostatic drive Cub Cadet. What he done, it's got two of these drives in it apparently. And it was, you got to lap them every now and again because they start to bypass. Pulled the first one out, yep, everything's good, but didn't realise, when he pulled the second one out, he didn't realise there's this tiny little part that sits down in here. And this is what, just try and show you, this is what activates for when you want to push the mower, this disengages the pump so it'll free wheel. And he's lost one. He said, "Is there any chance you can make it, or is it just too fiddly?" I said, "I'll have a crack at it." So, and he said, "Just don't make one, make two, just in case." He said, "I'll stuff up and lose another one." So that's the original, and there's the one I've made. Now it's exactly the same, all dimensions, bar one. I think it's about this width here on this, from underneath this radius to there. It's about, mine's about 2 thou difference, 2 thou less, but all other dimensions are pretty much smack on the money. Now I had no idea. I thought, how the friggin' am I going to make them? So that's the third attempt and I got it right. So I thought, I'll make the second one and I'll try and film it. I don't know how I'm going to go because it's just fiddly as. There's probably 1,000 ways to make this component, and I'm probably doing 1,000 things wrong, and in the measurement and trying to get it right. So just go easy on the comments. But anyway, we'll make a start on it. I made this one out of the head of a high tensile bolt, and I checked the hardness with the hardness files, and it's around 45 to 50 rock wool. So I am going to harden. That's why I made out of a high tensile bolt, that I know it will harden. So I just want to say thanks to Cole for these gifts, mate. Mate, I've got a set of Measure Max telescopic gauges, snap gauges, whatever you want to call them, and they feel nowhere near as smooth as these Moran Rights. This is a much nicer set. So thanks again, mate. I truly appreciate it. Anyway, these parts are about just a fraction over 10 mil long. They're not real big, I'll give you the tip. And in thou, they're 400 thou long. They're about 400 thou square roughly, and they're only about on the flat there, it's 2.5 mil wide, so they're not real big. So with my fumbly fingers, and to get that, I was pretty stoked. But anyway, we'll go over to the lathe and we'll have a crack at making another one. So okay, you start this off, it's got to be 1050 thou, 1 inch 50 thou on the outside diameter, and the inside works out to be 850 thou. So I'll turn the outside, then I'll part it off to length and then put it back in the chuck and then bore the inside to 850 thou. So more speed going on here. It's at 1110. 60 thou to come off. Much better finish. Thou under. Close enough, but I can center drill that now, drill it and then bore it. That is to diameter now, to width, which is 10.16 millimeters. Not a bad finish either. There's roughly around 83 thou to come out of that bore now. Stringy shite. Yep, spot on. Okay, so now the rest of it, I've just got to put a short, tiny light chamfer on this back edge and on this front edge, and then the rest of it's all done in one setup on the mill. Just a little look at what we ended up with. Bad idea. This is where things get a little bit interesting on the Matty style. I've found centre and put this cutter directly over centre. I've put in a wide cutter, so this distance from the centre of this arc here, this radius to the top, is 100 thou neat. So I've got to reduce this down to 100 thou. So measuring it up, I've got to take off 39 thou, which is the figure I've got from measuring that. So I've got to take off, from touch off, 39 thou down. And then we'll get to the next bit. I'm shit at explaining stuff, so. Zero out the quill. Just take light cuts here. Okay, so now we've established the flat on the top. Okay, what I'm going to do next is cut down each side at the end width, so at the final width of this part. This part measures 11 millimeters neat across the top here, across the bottom, across these two side flats. So I've changed over to a 3/16 end mill. I've halved that figure, plus 5.5, which is half this diameter, half this reading. So it gives me 7.88. So I'm going to take the table over 7.88, and that'll put me down on this side of the cut, this side of the part.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
0.88. Okay, table's locked off. that's a depth of 100 thou now. So I've shifted the table over 11mm, which is the width of the part, plus 4.76, which is 3/16. So now I've zeroed the quill where it is. So now it's got to take the cuts down until I get to 0 on the DRO, on the quill DRO. And then I'll do another bit of fancy measuring. Brace yourself. Got to change his battery first. So this is where it gets a little bit ordinary, and the lack of skill sort of starts to show. So what I've done is I've marked it up with blue Sharpie. I've set the part on the top so it's sitting square, and I know the width is correct. It's just on there. So all I done was last one. Just transferred that line down. Got it on there. Doing this all ass bare front and left handed too. Don't make it real easy, but that's no excuse. Roughness is goodness. Right. When you set this part in the actual pump housing, all these angles are for clearance. The main diameter of this part is the length, or the height, should I say. That's a critical one. So, and the rest of it is just basically clearance. So, good enough. Now, I've got to swap tools out. What I'll use for this 45 is a 45 chamfering tool, which means I don't have to take it out of this setup, and I'll just keep etching my way in till I reach this line. So I'll clear it just clear of the bottom face here, etch my way in both sides till I hit the line. Then I'll come back in with this 3/16 tool and just keep worming my way down until I eventually break through and just leave a little tab at each end, and then break it out by hand, and then just clean it up with a needle file. Then the part is complete. Pretty rough as guts, isn't it?
say, if it looks straight, it is straight.
Now I'll put in that 3/16 cutter again, and I'll keep working my way up to this edge. We should have a completed part. There we go. Turn that light away. So, I understand that's probably a completely the wrong way to make this part, but it worked for me, and all I've got to do is deburr it now. Get rid of the little ears on the end that I left. It should clean up okay. Smells a little bit shaded here, but shadowy. There's the three. That's the original. And that's the one we just made. All in all, it came up pretty good. And happy to say that they all work. That's all it's got to do is just raise up to disengage the pump or the drive, so it lets oil like a bypass, so the oil can pass freely, so it'll freewheel. Well, there we go. I'd class that as a success. Now, as I was saying before, these angles on the side here are only pure and simply for clearance. So I can wobble around in there. So they weren't a great, a great drama really. The main thing was to get that radius correct on the inside, I think. Or I believe it was the radius had to be correct and the actual height. So it did sit below the surface and raise up enough to obviously disengage it. So That's the two I made. That's the original. So I reckon that's worked out pretty darn well, and I had no idea how the bloody hell I was going to make them. And it was good that I could do it in one setup. I didn't have to, you know, take it out, turn it, put the 45s or nothing on. And that's what was left over. Now, if you did have a keen eye, that's the bit I machined on the lathe you've seen. Another malfunction. What I did was I misread the micrometer, and I made it 50th too small in the diameter. So that was my screw up there. Anyway, there's two other attacks at it. Well, there's two attacks, and there's two more bolts that have got rounded heads in the tub still. So it ended up being 4. I thought there was 5, but it ended up being 4. 4 goes to getting 2 parts. It's not bad for me anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and like I say, there's probably 1,000 ways to make that part, and I've probably done 1,000 things wrong and probably inaccurately, but hey, it's all going to work in the end. Okay guys, thanks very much, and see you on the next build.